Welcome to this very short case study where I want to show you exactly how we've grown more than five fashion brands to 7 and 8 figures per year in the last 24 months. So we work with quite a few fashion brands and we've developed a clear, basically about to say, a clear framework of how we actually scale a fashion brand. So I've made this very short video. It's going to be straight to the point. I'm not going to talk about any fluff. I want to show you exactly how we tackle a fashion brand and also the way it should be done here in 2025 and going forward for the next few years. The strategy and the way we set up the funnel is going to be very, very important. Fashion brands are getting better and better. Marketing overall is getting better and better, but also easier, which means it's harder to actually differentiate yourself. So, with that in mind, let me just tell you about three different fashion brands that we've helped in the past few years. So we've helped Oba Copenhagen. They're making around 2.2 million euros a year in revenue in just 2 years. And we also helped Mademoiselle from France. They're making around 2.5 million euros a year in revenue in just 1 year after working with us and Monocares, which we helped for 3 years, and they actually ended up at 1.5 million euros per year in revenue after just working with us for a year. So, and you can see them here. So this is Monocares. They are both present in Denmark, in Sweden, and just also have an international store. We have Mademoiselle. They're international, but mostly sells in France. And then we have Oba Copenhagen, a Danish fashion brand that we also helped scale to Sweden, Norway, and Germany. So, with that out of the way, let's get straight to the point. So, when we work with fashion brands, there are three major pillars that we begin to look at. And these are basically the own pillars that you need to really look into the data and understand why they play so well together with each other. So the first thing that we want to look at is the numbers. The second is the funnel, and I'm not talking about how your product page or if you need upsells or whatever it is. Those are very important things, but I want to talk about the marketing funnel itself and then the retention part. So if you run a fashion brand, you will know this already, but retention is the absolute most important thing. We don't want to run a fashion brand where people they buy one piece of clothing and never come back. That's not going to be a sustainable and profitable business in the long run. So what do we do with the numbers? Well, we actually set up this CPA calculator, as we call it. So we have the 6 month averages, as we like to call it, and these are your information. This is actually taken directly from a brand that we onboarded a few months ago, a fashion brand, and we are starting to scale now. So we look at what is the average order value. In this case, 213 euros. What is the cost of goods sold per the above average order value? Well, it's about 50%, so 110 euros, a little bit more. And then we have the shipping and handling to the customer. So what does it cost for us to actually ship the products to them? And then we have what is the gross profit in euros and the gross profit in percentage. So you can see we basically have a gross profit margin of 44%. This gives us a gross break-even CPA of 93 euros and a break-even ROAS of 2.27. All good so far. These are numbers that a lot of people know, and it's absolutely crucial to know these numbers. Then we also look at, well, what is the 6 month lifetime value? We also look at 12 month, but it depends what is the ticket size of your pieces of clothing. If you have a very luxurious brand, it may make sense to go from 12, maybe even up to 24 months in your lifetime. If you have more fast fashion, it maybe makes sense to look at 3 to 6 months. But we look at the lifetime value and then the new customer ROAS for the past 6 months and the 6 month monthly ad spend. So these are results that they were generating already. Now, when this brand came to us, they actually stopped scaling because they thought it was too expensive. As you can see, with a new customer ROAS, we could actually easily see that they're actually profitable on the first month, and taking into account their 6 month lifetime value, which suggests that people buy usually more than 2 times and already have more or less double their average order value in LTV, a little bit less. So after 6 months, Each customer on average is, instead of them being worth 213, well, they're actually worth 369 euros. So with this in mind, we could easily see the current new customer ROAS scenario here is that they were spending 6,719 euros per month. On average, from that month, they were only 3,000 euros in the green. Bottom line profit. So that is 14% in day one profit. That means that we're acquiring around 104 customers a month on average. And after 6 months, these 3,000 euros would actually be 10,000 euros instead. So over a 6 month period, they would basically take 6,700 euros and turn it into 10,131 euros in bottom line profit, net profit that they take home. Now here comes the thing. Well, when we look at this data, we think, okay, let's just scale. Everything's profitable. But when you're in the trenches and don't really have this data in front of you, you can't see the 10K. You might not even be able to recognize the 3K. This brand was doing anywhere between 50 to 100,000 euros a month in revenue. They also had organic sales, email sales, etc. So they don't recognize the 3,000 euros in profit in the bank account. It's simply too small a number to even recognize. And that's why it's very easy to get confused when looking at the ROAS numbers or the new customer ROAS and think, is it even profitable? We can't really scale. We also have a lot of inventory to buy. But when we look at this, we can easily see, yes, it does make sense. You're actually profitable right now, and you have a lot of room to scale. What we also did is put up some scenarios. Well, what happened if we double, or more or less double the budget, keep the same new customer ROAS? What happens to the profit? Well, we spend more or less double the ad spend. We only get, what is this? It's not 200% or 100% increase. It's probably anywhere in between. Not double, almost double the day one profit. Still not significant compared to the revenue, 41,000 euros from new customers. But down here, well, we double the budget and then we get 8,000 euros or almost 9,000 euros more in net profit over the span of 6 months. And keep in mind, this is solely from new customers. So now it begins to look a little bit better, but let's be even more optimistic. So what we thought was, well, what if we spend 75,000 euros and had a new customer ROAS of 2.6? It may even be a little bit lower. Of course, it's impossible to really forecast what will the NC ROAS look like if we more than 10x the budget. But let's just say it's 2.6. It might be a little bit higher. It might be lower. It might be 2.1. Either way, we'll be profitable. But as you can see, the day one profit barely moves. We're only 7,000 euros more in the green from the day one profit. So the first month, you probably wouldn't even recognize these 10K in your bank account out of 200,000 euros revenue from new customers. But if we look at the 6 month net profit from these customers, well, we have 73,000 euros. There's a massive difference. So we have more than 7x the net profit if we actually begin to look at these numbers. We also thought, well, what if we just go break even? We know from these numbers over here that we need a break even of 2.27 new customer ROAS to basically go break even. So what happens if we go break even on first purchase and then basically let it ride? We can see there's not the biggest difference in the revenue numbers or well, there is in the revenue numbers, but not in the net profit numbers. So we can easily see, okay, well, we probably shouldn't go break even unless we want to focus a lot on the volume. Maybe it makes sense over a 12-month period. So this is the first thing that we do. We really want to understand the business that we're dealing with and the individual numbers and see how much are we actually able to scale and what does the business need to actually be able to perform in the back end. So this is very important when it comes to fashion brands. As mentioned before, we don't want to run a fashion brand where people only buy one piece of clothing. With this in mind, we can now begin to create a funnel where we increase the amount of new customers that we bring. That's pretty much the only thing that we want to focus on from an acquisition point of view. We don't really focus on the returning customers. We leave that to the retention team, whether or not that will be through email, SMS, some targeting campaigns, bundles, whatever it might be. But from a pure acquisition standpoint, we want to focus on the NC ROAS and the CPA, and that's pretty much it. When we look at the funnel, so when it comes to a fashion brand, we begin to break down what should we do to attract people and what should do to actually convert people. And this will differ depending on whether you have a luxury brand or a fast fashion brand. If you're selling basically clothing or fashion pieces of clothing that are in the range of 25 to 50 euros per piece, maybe even less, you should go more. You shouldn't spend as much on brand building because people they will just purchase right away. But let's just say that you're in the mid range. So it's not something that people might just go in and make an impulse purchase on. They want to know your brand. Well, in the top funnel, instead of just trying to convert people, we want to inspire people. We want to attract eyeballs. We don't want to be that sales or conversion focused. We do want to be category focused. So we do want to bring people in for either jackets, sets, polos, t-shirts, whatever it might be. And we can do both UGC content as we have here, video. We can also, as you can see here, we can begin to just lay out, well, how do we want to portray the brand? What is the end customer? What do they want to feel when they see this brand? And how can we make sure that they become interested in a brand? That's the most important thing. We don't really care about the conversions in the top funnel here. We just want to inspire and attract people into our funnel. When they're in our funnel, on one very important note is that we look at the frequency here. So we want the very, very low frequency. So between 1.115 to 1.5 at the absolute max. What this basically means, if you're not familiar with the frequency, it's how many times do one person see your ad over a specific time period. Now, this should be over a 7-day period and specifically on a daily basis as well. So, I mean, the lower the frequency, the more new people you're hitting. And then we want a medium to high CPA. So we still want to be a little bit above break even. Of course, the higher the better. But if we're too profitable, it means that we're not reaching enough new people. Then we come to the mid or bottom funnel, and this is where we begin to create conversion-focused ads. So we have very specific ads towards very specific products or categories, like these ones here, and we want to push people to actually convert and buy from us. So as it says here, conversion-focused ads, catalog ads, and just with the focus on generating sales. And here we want a medium frequency, so around 2.2 to 3.5, and a low CPA. If your CPA gets too high, it probably means that your frequency begins to exceed these metrics here. And if it begins to do that, well, we have to descale spend or decrease spend because we're just hitting people too many times. So as you can see, these ads here are with the sole focus of actually generating new eyeballs that we can then retarget over here and get to convert. So that's how the funnel needs to look like. With this funnel, and this is just purely for you to imagine, but let's say that your first time customers, they have a net profit of $80. So if you have a pretty good NCPA, well, your net profit on the first purchase might be $80. Then the whole retention marketing system has to kick in. And this is where we come with upsells, cross sells, loyalty discounts, basically making sure that once people have bought from us before, they come back. And this also comes into having great quality on your products, or at least a pricing point that matches the quality. And then also some differentiation compared to your competitors or to other fashion brands. So with this in mind, when we get a returning customer, the net profit may even get up to $170 on the second purchase. And then when you get the full lifetime value net profit, so let's say that people buy from you 5 or 6 times, the net profit is $350. This is how you need to think of your funnel if you run a fashion brand. You can't think of it in regards to the ROAS because it doesn't really mean anything. We have to look at the entire funnel and see, well, what can we afford to get one new customer for, and how often do they come back, and how can we optimize that part of it? So, as mentioned, a very straightforward video, straight to the point. I hope you got some value out of it. And if you want, feel free to look around, browse some of our other case studies, or go down below this video and get a free performance review from my CMO Lucas, and then we'll go through your entire funnel and show you exactly how it needs to look if we want to scale your store into 7 or even 8 figures in yearly revenue if you have a fashion brand. So have a good day, and I look forward to hopefully speaking to you in the future.